Welcome to the Common Humanity podcast, where we're here to have real human conversations. Today, I am joined by Kaesevyn. He is a musical artist and fellow human. And other than that, I have listened to the stuff he sent me, but we'll get to that later. But before we jump into that, we're going to start with our regular first question, which is Kaesevyn, who are you?
Oh man, so this the answer for that question, it actually changes every time I get asked it. Um, so I am for all intents and I am a music artist who's been doing this for about 14 or so years now. Excuse me, I am based out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I've been as far as Atlanta, Georgia to perform, South Beaufort, um, not South Beaufort, Beaufort, South Carolina. I'm sorry. Um, I have in the last few years dabbled in producing my own music, producing for others. I'm now trying to take like a hybrid approach, like manager, label owner kind of thing. It just there's a whole like there's a whole sweatshop happening in my head when it comes to this music stuff. So I'm a little bit of everything. I know how to wear just about all of the hats that come with doing anything music related. Um, but who I am as an artist, I mean, if I had to boil it down, I'm just a guy who really loves making music, and I want to spend the rest of my natural born life just doing this.
Which begs the question, what do you want to do with your unnatural born life? Like once they put you in a tank, just like put your brain in a tank, then what are your dreams? Sorry, that was just
I
a
want to, I want to freak people out. Like I want to, I want to be that. I want to be that dismembered head. What is You ever seen Futurama?
yeah.
Yeah, I want to be one of those heads in the jars that just like kind of plays dead until someone walks by and then go. It just freak people out. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Um, okay, so obviously music is very important to you. What brought you into music to begin with?
So this is where everything is going to get dark. So just bear with me. What actually got me started with music, with trying to make music. My father passed away in 2010. And I have used music, at least in the beginning, as a coping mechanism, trying to, you know, get through my grieving period and just trying to make sense of things that don't really make sense to me. At the time, I was 14 years old. So I really didn't have like much emotional maturity. I really didn't have the wherewithal to, be one way or the other in terms of being all right. So I know what I had was, my love and appreciation for music and what it had, done for me all my life up until that point. And being the weird loner kid in high school, you kind of just take influence from like other like weird loner cliches that you see in the media, you read in books. Um, and so I dabbled in poetry for a while, spoken word, and it was cool. It was great for the people that, I wanted to be around at the time, but like my passion, like my heart lived in I've got to put, words to a beat. I've got to make a song. I've got to do something that will live on. Like I might lose this notebook in
Mhm.
like 2 years. I might lose this phone that I've got these notes written down in if I don't sync it to a cloud or something like that. Um, so I want something that, God forbid anything were to happen to me, if anyone wanted to see what I was up to or wanted to know or learn anything about me, they could literally just go listen to the songs that I've made. And then, I'm telling you my life story through my lyrics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And first of all, I think I've had this conversation with a lot of people, but I feel like
Mhm.
art is definitely an outlet for just it is an outlet for processing all of those things that, and I think that's the purpose of art, whether it's
Absolutely.
poetry or music or painting. It is there to get out what we don't know how to just say.
Exactly. And the messed up part is, and I don't want to cut you off. The messed up part is that, there was a lot that I wanted to say, a lot that I wanted to ask, a lot that I wanted to, just get some closure with, when my dad passed away. Um, just recently, last year, February 2nd, my mom passed away. So releasing, the album, on February 2nd this year was, kind of an ode to her. It's her, the anniversary of her passing. So I wanted to utilize like this time, this project to just say everything that I'd been wanting to say all my life. Um, and then finally, realizing that there's nothing holding me back at this point from saying all of these things, from doing all of these things. I just took a chance, and once I put it out, everyone, understood. Not necessarily, liked, adored. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for, you know, I'm not looking to make millions off of a tragic backstory or anything crazy like that. I just want for those who had questions, for those who wondered, for those who want to know, okay, well, here you go. Here's the story. This is why I am. This is why I do. This is why whatever. So I figured, okay, well, like I said, why not just put it all into music and then just let it live on and let it be what it is. And like I said, the reception that I've gotten for the album, um, overwhelmingly positive, honestly. It amazed me, how many people, one, just didn't know, what was going on with my life. And then, it amazed me even still that, how receptive everyone was, and they started to reach out like, oh my God, I didn't know that you were going through all of this. I didn't know, because you didn't talk about it, you didn't say anything. And the last time I saw you, you were all smiles and this, that, and the third. And I said, well, that's depression. That's, anxiety. That's grief, man. It just is what it is. It's not that I want to hold it back from you guys. It's not that I, want to keep you away or push you away or anything, but it's, the feeling of it right here in this moment. It's, what are you going to do about it? And it's not to be rude, it's not to be mean or anything, but it's, I mean, genuinely, what can you do about this shitty thing happening in my life? And the answer is nothing. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. That makes me think of, so before we started this conversation, you said that you're an open book. And I used to tell people that I'm an open book. And then I realized that I'm more um, like I'm a book that is definitely like, you can open my book and turn me to whatever page, and like well, actually no. Yeah, I mean, you could do that too, but I've come to realize I'm more like a Google search. Like,
Yeah.
you can ask me anything and I will tell you, but I'm not like, I don't just like freely give all the information
Yeah.
that's happening in my life, because like,
Yeah.
you never know, one, how people are going to respond, especially when it's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and two, like, even people who you're supposed to trust, you don't always know if you can trust them with that stuff that like sits heavy on your heart. And so
Yeah.
you're saying people are like, well, you didn't tell us about this. Like, well, did you ask?
Did you ask? Did you really want to know?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like I said, in those moments as I'm dealing with it, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I even feel, if I feel anything. So
Right.
what can I tell you besides I feel fucked up? You know what I mean? What can I tell you besides that? I don't even really know if this is, me feeling fucked up, or if this is just something that I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, I think I do. I don't even know. Um, so, with my mom's passing, with my dad's passing, and just everything, going on just in, for life in general. Just dealing with the ups and the downs and the ins and the outs. I feel like for my personal musical expression, the best thing that I can do is, be authentically myself. And, sometimes that's just, a guy who's wrestling with his depression, a guy who's trying to figure shit out, make a way, and, trying to stay above water. You know what I mean? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I kick myself in the ass for it. And, other times it's just, all right, well, we made it through. So let's keep on trucking.
Yeah. One of my okay, it's not really a quote because it's something I say, so you can't really quote yourself. But like when I'm not doing super great and people ask how I'm doing, because like most people don't actually want an answer to that question, but I answer them anyway. But my answer is alive and kicking, and as long as that stays consistent, it can only get better from here. Like
There
that's
you go.
like that's my optimism. Like as long as I am alive today, there's still a chance for me to get out of this.
There you go. There you go. Because sometimes, man, that's sometimes, and that's all we've got.
Mhm.
Like, it's all we got is just a hope. I'll be at work or something like that, and and people, hey, how you doing today? I'm hanging in there with both hands. So, take that information, do with it what you're gonna. Like, I'm here. You know what I mean? Through the grace of God, some kind of way, I'm here. We're still doing it. So, but no, it it's not always, it's not always like, dark and, dreary and, oh, woe is me or anything like that, man. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's, damn, I really wish, another opportunity would present itself. Damn, I really wish I could get past just not doing. Sometimes I really wish I could just be more productive. You know what I mean? Um, and sometimes it has nothing to do with anything. Sometimes, man, you're just tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a nap. Sometimes you just need to eat something because you're hungry. You know what I mean? It's a plethora of things. So a lot of times, um, it feels crappy. Sometimes it feels, it's not going to get any better than this. And then, you take a nap for about 30 minutes, you wake up, you eat a bowl of cereal, and then you're ready to take on the day.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so obviously the passing of your parents has had a heavy effect on you.
yes,
Um,
ma'am.
do you do you feel like it was easier to release this past album with them not around to hear the things that you were processing?
I think, I think it was easier to, I think it was easier to release it after my mom passed, specifically because of, so So when my dad passed, I actually held a grudge against my mom and a lot of people in my family for a long time because, I had come to realize after a while that, so at 14, I didn't know what like hospice care was,
Right.
right? No one explained that to me. Everyone just kept saying, oh, he's going to get better. He's going to get better. He's going to. And, my dad, unfortunately, was in a diabetic coma for about 8 months. Um, and in that coma, he suffered, a few seizures, and then, after the 8 month period, his brain activity was just gone. The machines that he was hooked up to were keeping him alive at that point, and then everything just stopped. Everything just shut down. So for a long time because of misunderstandings and miseducation. I held that against my mom specifically. Uh, um, and then, slowly her health started to take her. And I realized that, well, holding this grudge against you about my dad, um, you were doing for me and my brothers what you thought was the best for us in those moments. And it was no longer my dad and you, it was just you. So you did what you had to. So I can't really fault you for that. I can't really be upset because you were grieving. My parents had been together 20 years. You know what I mean? So I can't really be mad. I don't know what it's like to be with someone for 20 years and then have to just make this, abrupt pivot in another direction of, well, what do I do? You know what I mean? Um, so I on one hand, I can't really be mad at you anymore, but I still kind of am because, well, now it's not dad that's, that's going down. It's you. So I'm I'm taking care of her every day, right? And the the messed up part is that I'm slowly I'm trying to stay away from the thought, but I can't help but think every time I look at her, I'm watching you die every single day. Today could be the day, tonight could be the night, tomorrow could be the day. I have no clue. I could wake up and you're gone. I could come home from work and you're gone. And you know what I mean? I don't know how to process. I don't know what to do. So I try to just, keep a realistic, sense about myself and just try to face your health and how to navigate everything as best as I can, just through the lens of let's be practical about this, right? Like I'm not, don't sugarcoat it. Let me know. Are we looking at a she's gonna get better, or are we looking at we're just waiting for the inevitable? But I'm not trying to be, pessimistic or anything. That hey, with the right diet, with the right this, with the right that, she could have, a lot of time. She could have a lot of this. She could have, you know what I mean. She could possibly make a recovery, maybe. But there's no one way or another to say definitively this is what needs to happen for that to happen. And I said, okay, fine, that's understandable, that's digestible, so to speak. Um so so when she finally passed away, um I had already been working on the album for about 6 months at that time anyway. And at that point we were just kind of dabbling, just trying to, throw some shit together just to see, and at that point we had just started, producing our own stuff and just started making our own things. So we're really experimenting, like what does this, what are these new sounds like? What is this album gonna sound and feel like for listeners? So a lot of it, I'm talking nights of just, you know, heavy drinking, smoking, taking whatever just to feel enough to get the lyrics down, get the production done. Damn recording anything right now, man. I just want to get through the creation of this. And then once I'm, sober enough to actually, put down a solid vocal, then we'll record it. And then we'll just, go from there. Um, I would say ultimately, just to answer the question, I would say it was extremely cathartic for me to have finally released the album, and being able to talk about everything on there that I was able to say. A lot of it I did want to say to my parents at some point in time, but just unfortunately, I just never had the opportunity to just be able to sit down and say, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, this is what I think, this is what I feel." So I feel that since I never really got the chance to have these conversations with them, really say these things, and really let them know this is how I was feeling this entire time, I feel like it's important for me now to, you know, communicate with them through the things that I do, right? So that means, continue to strive for excellency with this music shit. Continue to go for it, you know what I mean? Continue to try to be the son that, makes me feel like they'd be proud of me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For not giving up on this, you know what I mean? Hell, as a person, man, look, I dropped out of college twice, you know what I mean? and I've got two kids now. So I feel on one hand, I can't really harp on you about education because I dropped out twice. But then at the same time, like how I know how dedicated of people my parents were when it came to, chasing your dreams and, going after your goals and, and doing everything. So, like I said, I feel like I owe it to them to make sure that at the end of my run with music, I have done everything that I need to do to make them proud, if not make myself proud.
May I ask,
By all
um,
means.
what, so you said your mother's health declined. Was there like a specific disease? You don't seem old enough to have someone who just died by old age. Um,
So my mom when she passed, Jesus, how old was dad? Dad was 58 and mom's 11 years younger. Mom was Jesus. What
the
is 2023 minus 60, 63, 23, 63? Mom was like 55,
55,
50,
I was right.
50,
Boom. Sorry, I'm
something
good.
like that. No, you're fine. No, both my parents were diabetic.
Okay.
And my mom specifically started to get worse. She had a stroke in 2018, 19, one of the two,
Yep.
one of the two. Um, and when she, a few months after she'd had her stroke, um, you know, you noticed, how quick she was to recover. But then if you paid attention, you could slowly see the decline, right? You could slowly see she's not moving as fast as she used to. She's not doing things as fast. She's not as strong as she used to be. She's just not there. You know what I mean? She's there, right? But she's less than herself in dexterity.
Right.
Um, so for me, it just it like I said, it messed me up just watching her, slowly decline over the days, over the weeks, over the months. Um, and just trying to, hold on and trying to keep her to her, medicine regimen, as closely as we could. Trying to make sure that she ate as much as she could, hydrate as much as she could and everything like that. The messed up I think the most and I promise I'm not gonna cry when I talk about it. The most messed up part I feel like
Welcome to if you need to.
uh what happened?
You're
Would you
welcome to if you need to.
I got you. I think the most tragic part about my mom's passing was literally the day before she passed. Her home care nurses had come and had so my mom was a bit of a hoarder.
Okay.
Um, so they literally had came the day before and not thrown things away, but had like reorganized her room so that she could navigate doing dialysis at home for herself.
Mhm.
And like I said, it was the day before, and everything was right. I came home from work to let the nurses in, and they let themselves out. Came home, saw her room. Oh my God, I haven't seen this like this since we moved in. Yada yada. Um, Something struck me as odd though, because I had asked her, if she had, done her full cycle for the day. Excuse me, and she told me yeah, but the way that she said yes was like, I don't know if I really believe you, but I I don't I don't have any evidence, I don't have any proof otherwise, so I got to take you at your word. Um, yeah, so but all in all, it just it's a different kind to me. It's a different kind of trauma. Just going from having zero wherewithal about what's going on with one of your parents to being, cognizant of actual like, health situations, health, and things like that. And then slowly, like I said, watching, them be on the decline and not knowing if today, tomorrow, whatever. Um, yeah, so got through all that without crying. All right, here we go.
All right, so
Now the rest of this is gonna be easy.
okay. Maybe I'm gonna hit you with another one.
Hit me.
Uh,
Go for it. Go for it.
so having both your parents die at a relatively young age for them, and then
Mhm.
a young age for yourself, also being a parent of children,
Mhm.
how much have you faced your own mortality and thought about your own mortality in
Eh,
this whole scheme of things?
All the damn time, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So the the boogeyman that's in my mind, like I constantly question whether or not, am I going to be diabetic like my parents? Or am I going to fall into the same health traps as they did? Um, I mean, I'm not doing myself any favors, obviously, right? But um, I do tend to struggle with, with my own mortality, with my own, health and whatnot. But I don't by any means, overeat, overdo, overconsume. Um, I do tend to have like a zero sugar diet. And just, I am admittedly not 100% on top of my game like I should be, but I do take what I feel are necessary steps to, at the very least, if I'm going to go through life on autopilot, I might as well remove some of these other things, out of the equation. So at least that way, being on autopilot, I'm not, you know, eating cookies, sweets. I'm not consuming things that, aren't good for me in vast quantities. I'm drinking more. I drink nothing but water like every single day. Um, Maybe a cup of juice every now and then. And then if it's like apple juice or orange juice or something, just for a taste of sweetness. Um, my wife, and God bless her, because if it weren't for her, I would, whew, Jesus. No, she's really stepped in and she's really helped me get control of, a lot of like, because I used to have a problem with grief eating a lot. So I would unconsciously like overeat, unconsciously think that I'm hungry, feel like I need, to eat something. And then, she stepped in, she's like, babe, no, you're not hungry. You just want something to do. You just, your mind's busy. You just want your body to be doing something while your mind's going, so that way you can justify da 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 da. And I looked up one day and I was like, damn, she's right. Damn it, she's right. I can't, fuck. All right, well, that's fine. I'll get her on something else. Um but no, she really stepped in, and she has, she's just been honest with me, just, babe, we've really got to do this together. We've got to do this. We've got to be on top of everything, and we're not going to get there if we just keep talking about it. We've got to actually do something. So, my hat's off to her, and I love her for, for forever, for stepping into my life, and and taking me and pushing me, forward to be better, to be like not a hypocrite, or not as much of a hypocrite as I know I normally am. So,
Okay, I have two things. One that's
yes.
um, kind of a massive tangent. Um,
Mhm.
and this is, we're gonna go with unsolicited advice,
Okay, go for it.
because I'm a nerd and I work in the fitness industry and health and all of that stuff. There are new
Okay.
studies coming out, especially when it comes to diabetes and other illnesses, heart disease, things like that.
Mhm.
A key factor is sarcopenia, which is a lack of muscle mass. So there are studies that
Okay.
show the more muscle you have, the less likely you are to develop such diseases. So I'm just going to put that in your brain. And for anyone who's
Okay.
listening, if that's something you're worried about, resistance training will be your best friend.
Okay.
That was my tangent. Now to the next question.
Mhm.
How did you meet your wife?
Ah, here we go. Oh yeah. Ready for this can of worms? No, you're not. So
I'm
so
always ready.
I met her through um it was kind of like chat roulette, but not really chat roulette, right? So there was an app, uh Jesus, it was called Chitter, where it was essentially chat roulette without like the video, right? So you got into a chat room, and you sat there, talked with the person, whatever, whoop de woo. At the time, it wasn't, it was very archaic. So God forbid you left the app or swiped down to see a notification that popped up, and you left the chat. Now you got to go to the next person,
Okay.
right? So you had to stay on the screen or risk losing the person you're talking to. So me and her, we sat there, we talked for maybe like an hour or something like that, keeping the chat open, letting know, hey, don't leave, because if you leave, then the chat's gonna go away and I'm not gonna be able to talk to you. So we exchanged, like, I think it was like we started exchanging like Snapchat or like Instagram or something like that. And that was honestly back in like 2018. And Jesus, we've been talking ever since then. Finally married last year, June 30th. June 30th. Damn it. And I know I remember this. I know I remember it. I'm not a bad husband, I promise. June 30th, and that we've been married ever since. And she has just been the fucking love of my life. So real quick, just because you might have this in mind. I know I mentioned that I had kids earlier.
Yeah.
My wife is not the mother of my children. But I just wanted to, throw that out there and make sure everyone knows. But my wife is to me, like, the epitome of you are who I should have fucking had kids with, right? Like, it's no disrespect to the mom of my kids, right? But me and her, we didn't work out, one reason or another, and to me, it's just I I can't imagine being with anybody else but my wife now, and dude, I don't care who the fuck asks, I don't care who has something to say. Like, my wife is my world, my kids are my world, and as far as I'm concerned, this is my family. So
I mean, I agree. My ex-husband is not, I mean, he's the father of my children, but he is not the person who I'm in a relationship with. So,
there you go, there you go, there you go.
um,
No, but it's just it's funny because a lot of people, when you hear, oh, my wife,
yeah,
oh, my kids, because you automatically assume, oh, you okay, yeah, okay, yeah, she's the mom, right? No, oh, and then there's this big ass stigma behind it, which is stupid, but whatever.
which is ridiculous because that is the majority of households. Most households, especially in America, are blended families, and they have
Yeah.
for the last 20 years. Um, do you and your wife currently have plans on having more children? Or
Yes.
okay,
Yes, we do. So we've actually been trying for about a year. Don't tell her. We've been trying that long, but
does
um
not know that you've been trying, because that's a whole different question.
no, I didn't want to say it out loud because like, so in a world where where like my life is on display, hers isn't.
Okay.
And I, on a level somewhere, I'm like, I've got to respect her privacy. I know I feel free to talk about whatever, but then at the same time, if if something or somebody comes up in conversation, out of respect for them, it's like, hey, well, respect their level of privacy, because maybe they don't feel comfortable talking about it. Maybe they don't want everyone in the business or anything like that. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, but no, that was the whisper, not because I'm doing something crazy. Just
I mean, as a note, you whispered into a live recording. Well, it's not live, I guess, but you whispered into a recording that is going to be published.
That's the well. That's also the joke. That's the comedy of it because I would hope that people see the nuance and and they get it because hey here I am telling this tell all secret and trying to whisper it. So
Um, what do you think is the most stressful part about being a parent?
um balancing out your worries for the future versus your awareness of the right now. You know what I mean? um and I'm a victim of my own little vicious cycle in my head. I tend to prepare myself for what I perceive to be the worst case scenario, just so that way, like, and the way I do it, a lot of people think it's dumb, but the way what I do is, so like, I'll prepare for like the worst case scenario, and excuse me, whenever the scenario in question, comes about, I'm prepared for the worst to happen. So if the worst doesn't happen, then that's a win for me. I can't be disappointed. I can't be right upset or out of my I was prepared for the absolute worst thing possible to happen. And it's nowhere near that great. Everything's fine. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. I don't have anything to worry about. Nothing's happening. Great.
I'm exactly the same way. It was like,
Just,
there was a post going around like in the depths of COVID when
mhm.
everyone is freaking out and buying all the toilet paper and everything.
I
And
still don't know why we bought. I don't know why everyone. Why of all the damn things to buy, of
right?
all the things to buy.
Yeah. I
Okay, but
yeah.
anyways,
But there was, and like somebody asked somebody like, why aren't you freaking out? Like they asked somebody with anxiety, why aren't you freaking out? And they're like literally every day is the end of the world. So I am prepared for the end of the world. How were
right.
these people living in a world not prepared for the end of the world? Like, is this not like people with anxiety, like every day, all day, we're just like, okay, like we're
Today,
prepared.
the sky is gonna fall today in like 3 hours. Like, I gotta be ready. Listen to me. There's an old saying: if you stay ready, you never have to get ready.
Exactly.
So no, I understand, but yeah, no, but that's so for me, it's definitely balancing out the worries of the future versus the right here, right now. What are you gonna do? Moment. Um, and then sometimes, man, like I just, but I sometimes I put this little, these little scenarios in my head. Oh, well, if my son would do this, or if my daughter would do that, or if, and then but then I sit back and I think to myself, I the more you think about it, man, the more you're probably going to manifest it to happen. So you should probably just stop. You know what I mean? You should probably just not invite that to happen in the first place. But hey, I guess if you're trying to be prepared for the worst case, then do what you got to do. So
Yeah. Okay, what do you think is the most rewarding part about being a parent?
getting to see them, getting to wake up to them, getting to go to sleep, knowing that they're okay, getting to hear their voices, getting to be in their lives, getting to exist with them. You know what I mean? And it to me, it is the simple fact that they exist and the fact that I exist along with them. That is to me the greatest part about being a parent. So it kind of goes, hand in hand with, with losing my parents. So what I discovered for myself is that the unconditional love between a parent and a child, whether you're the child or the parent, you know you're never gonna find love anywhere like that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many pets you have. It doesn't matter how many partners you've been with. Whatever. You're never gonna find someone that loves you like your parents loved you. You know what I'm saying? Other than your kids, and you're
Yeah.
never gonna find and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like the love that I have from my mom and dad cannot be reciprocated from or by anyone other than my kids. And don't get me wrong, like I love my wife
Right.
and I love her to death. I'd do anything in the world for her. But I also do know that on a a fundamental level, right? Our love is conditional,
Hmm.
but it's not conditional like materialistic. It's not conditional like you have to do this for me. I have to do this for you. It's conditional on don't go out and do something stupid. Don't go out and make a mistake. Don't go out and do something with someone that you are supposed to do with me, right? With my kids, just same way with my parents. I mean, I'm dad to them. You know what I mean? They're I would hope that they love me regardless of my flaws and my mistakes. And I hope that I'm trying to get better with everything that I do for them and grow along with them instead of trying to be complacent and trying to stagnate in my own growth, as a parent and just as a person. I want to be better than my parents were when they were raising me. Not to say that they were bad, but they had their shortcomings, they had their flaws, and I do recognize that. So do I. So I want to make sure that as far as they're concerned, and any other child that I have, I want to make sure that all of them know that they are loved no matter what. And you know, I'm never going to make you feel like you can't come to me for anything. You may not want to, and that's your right. That's your choice, right? But I'm not going to force it out of you. I want you to, naturally say, I need my dad's help. I need to go and ask dad how to do this. Or I need to ask dad what he thinks about this because I have no clue. Um, but I don't ever want them to feel like, you know, I don't care, or like I don't, you know, have anything interesting or have anything productive to add to their experience, of for life. I want to be able to set you guys up for, for the inevitable me not being here. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's another thing, about my mortality that I think about. Just, one of these days I know I'm not going to be here with you guys. I know it, So I want to get you both squared away and set up for when I'm no longer here. Doesn't matter who goes before me, who goes after, whatever, but I want you all prepared for when I'm not here, because I know no one in your life handles things the way that I do.
Right.
No one thinks about things the way that I do. No one puts things in perspective for you guys like I do. And I want you guys to be able to do for yourselves what I can do for you before, I get up out of here. So that way I can rest easy. I can go knowing that no, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be messed up for a little bit. They're gonna be sad. They're gonna grieve. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. But I know they're gonna come out on the other side and they're gonna be okay.
I think so. That whole everything you just said, just beautiful. And that last part really, really hit me. Um, quick story. I
Mhm.
was at the pool swimming the other day, and I love, so along the lines of how you said, like the love between parents and children is, I mean, it's a different kind of love than between partners.
Absolutely.
The
Right.
unconditional aspect of it, right? Um,
Mhm.
and my, I mean, my sons have saved my life more times than I can probably count. But one of my favorite things that they say to me, they tell me I'm the best mom in the universe, and sometimes the best mom in the world, which I'm just like, man, multiple universes, I am rocking this shit. Um, like
Hell yeah. Hell
there's
yeah.
there's all
Own
the
that shit.
times where like when I feel like I'm not being the best parent. Yesterday was one of those days. Um,
Mhm.
my son had a soccer game 3 hours away. I took him to it. We got there, realized I had the time wrong and we had just missed his game. So we spent 6 hours in a car for him to miss his soccer game, and I felt like shit.
Oh.
um, and so I'm like, I have all the feels, and my son reassures me. He's just like the coach said 215. I heard him say 215. Like, you can't, like, this is not all your fault. Like, and that there's that reassurance of like, he's like, you, like, you are, you like, you might be imperfect, but it doesn't stop me from loving you any less. And that's, I feel like that's the love that parents give their children, and the
Yeah.
that children give their parents, especially when they're young. And I know it's hard. I mean, I haven't gotten there yet, but as they get older and like into teen years, um, where that unconditional love gets questioned a little bit more, especially if like when you start to butt heads and they start to have some of their
Yeah.
own things that don't agree with your own and things like that. But I
Yeah.
was at the swimming pool a couple weeks ago, and there were these two kids and their mom, and one kid like said to her mom, she was like, hey, um I really wanted this thing to play in the pool with today, and we forgot it. Can we make sure that we have it next time? And her mom was just like, I'm sorry, I'm imperfect, I make mistakes. And both of her daughters were like, no, you are perfect. And she's like, I'm not, I'm really not. And they were like, Mom, you are perfect. Like, don't you say anything otherwise. And I was like, you tell her. You
Damn right.
tell her.
You let
And
her know, damn it. Ma, I love you. This is not what this is.
right. And I like,
Hell yeah.
one, it gives me hope for the future, because there are children, like this girl was probably 6 years old, and there are children who can be like, I would like this in the future, like setting boundaries and expectations without like demonizing her mom. And when her mom was like talking down on herself, she's like, no, we don't do negative self-talk.
That.
Let's
Yeah, we
just
don't do that. Stop it.
so
No,
we
I love it. I love it because my so the atmosphere that I try to, keep around my kids is, again, I want you to be able to express yourself. I want you to be able to have the freedom to say what you want to say. You know what I mean? And I know, listen, I'll June 8th of this year, I'll be 28 years old. And one of the things that I've, learned, being here, man, is that you're not gonna agree with everybody, and not everyone's gonna agree with you, and that is not, limited to just, adults. It's my kids too. They say things all the time I don't agree with. I say things all the time they don't agree with, but I make it a point to, keep the floor for discussion on certain topics open. So that way, listen, if you have something that you want to say, now's the time to say it. I'm not going to stop you from expressing how you feel or what you think, even if you're mad at me.
Mhm.
Even if what you want to say is, Daddy, I don't like Daddy, you're mean. Daddy, you are a bully. You are this, you are that. Even if that's what you want to say, that is fine, dude. I want you to be able to feel like, you have enough control over yourself to speak your mind. Now, whether I agree with you or not is a whole different, whole different game, whole different subject. But I don't want you to ever feel like you can't say to me what you want to say,
Right.
right? There have been plenty of times where, you know, I'll be giving him, like, the dad life advice,
Right.
and he'll say, well, Daddy, what's that word mean? What is that? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? And I will stop and lose my train of thought just to explain to him this one word, just so that way and you understand, because it's gonna happen again. I'm gonna use like
Yeah.
a 7 syllable word on you that you're like, what the fuck is that? But I want you to understand what's being said to you, and I want you to be able to, you know, comprehend what you're saying to someone else when it's time for you to speak your mind.
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel afraid. I don't want you to hem up, you know what I mean, in the middle of you saying what you're thinking or what you're feeling. That's not fair. That's, unfortunately, when I was little, you know, my dad didn't let me or my older brothers, get a word in about anything. It was his way or no way. And if you didn't like it, screw you, because you're not 18 yet. You can't leave. So it's like now that I have kids, I'm the same way in some ways, but as far as like letting you have your voice, no, I'm gonna let you have your voice because that's fair. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I can't expect you to respect what I'm saying if I don't even give you a chance to say what you want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That to me, that's not right. Now, now, whether what you're saying is right or wrong is neither here nor there, but you will still be afforded every opportunity and freedom to say it.
Yeah.
And that is something that is a principle that I will die on a hill for, and I do not care.
Yeah. One of the things that I have gone over with my kids numerous times is like, there's a difference between when I'm asking them to do something and when I'm telling them to do something. And we've been over
Yes.
with like when I tell them to do something and they don't do it, we go over like, I need you to know the difference between, hey, can you please take out the trash and get off the street? Because
Yeah.
those two, like one, like if I'm telling you to do something, because there is information that I have that you don't have, and it is an order.
Yes.
And I'm not going to
Yes.
order you around in everything that you do because that's not how I think life should be. But
Right.
I have more lived experience than you have. And
Yes.
I'm going to try to use that lived experience to keep you as safe as possible. So
Absolutely.
I need them to differentiate between when they are told to do something and when they are asked to do something, because
Hmm.
there's leeway in asking and there's not leeway in telling. So it's
Right.
like if there's an emergency situation, I need to know that if they are told to do something, they will do what they are told so that I can make sure. And like, and we've had that conversation just like that. Like, this is why, like when I tell you is more of like that stern, there's no argument, there's like, and part
Yeah.
of that is the practicing of that. And
Hmm.
like, because it's not always an emergency situation when I tell them to do something, but like I have to know that they know how to respond to that. And again, like you said, when it's an appropriate time for them to have questions or disagree, then there's the space for that. But
Right.
that's not always the time. And that's
Exactly.
like one of our jobs as parents is to teach children what the appropriate time for various things is. Like, I allow my kids to swear because I think words, like how you use words, are more important than the
Are
words.
a lot more important than the words being used. Yep.
Yeah. And but like there are rules around it. Like, they can't swear at school. They can't swear around Oma because she finds it offensive. They can't
Hmm.
swear at people because there's
That's just rude
because it's rude.
and
Like, so
just rude, and they might not take it well, and they might hit you in the face. I don't know.
right. And so like there's rules around it, but that's part of like setting up those boundaries of like the words themselves aren't off limits, but you need to know the time and place. And like, not gonna lie,
Right.
I'm super proud when my oldest was 3 years old, and the first time he said damn it was like he pinched his finger when he was buckling himself in his car seat, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like, damn it. And I was just like, thank you for using that in the proper context. In like, that was an
I,
appropriate way to use that word. I'm not gonna,
as a parent, I can't. As a parent, I can't be mad at you because you used it right.
yeah,
You used it right. I would have said it. I would have said it. Yeah. I can't even be mad. Don't say it, but
like,
that's just me. So, so with them, I I think mentally I'll be okay with them. Me personally, I think I'll be mentally okay with them cussing like 11,
yeah,
12, right? That just for me, right? Like at that point, okay, fine, whatever, right? But even in the moments, like if you fall and it's a hard fall and you just so happen to scream out, fuck, on the way down, I I should be, society says I should be mad at you.
yeah,
But I'm not going to be mad at you for two reasons. One, you're in pain, you just fell. Two, it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So I can't even really be mad at you.
Also, science says that swearing actually mitigates pain.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, it does. And if you listen, for everyone who's watching this, listening to this right now, if you don't believe us, if you watch Mythbusters, they prove it. They fucking prove it. And those dudes are all about science. So, ha.
Okay, we are going to move into our card game.
Okay, cool.
So you get to answer first. You can defer to me if you want to, but first question, name a teacher. It's not even a question, but name a teacher from school you recall and explain why.
Mr. Abraham was my geometry and algebra 1 teacher in high school, and he was the he was the first he was one of the first male teachers I'd ever had in my whole life that made me feel like I was worth something. You know, he genuinely made me feel like I was an asset, not just to the classroom, but to the world. So every time I see him, I'm friends with him on Facebook. So everything that goes on with him, you know, my hat's off to him. Fucking shouts out to Mr. Abraham because he is just the awesomest guy in the world. And anyone who gave him a hard time, you know, back in high school, you guys suck. So
I love teachers like that. I'm gonna go with Mrs. Olson. She was my
okay.
Calc 2 teacher. I had a teacher the year before
Ooh.
for Calc 1 in trigonometry, who I can't remember her name. I just remember that she almost made me hate math. Like she made me, I love math. Um, and she almost killed my love for math. And so Miss Olson brought that love back. And I will never forget. So her husband was an engineer and he bought her a
Okay.
book of relativity, which I don't think I could use to tell the time, but it was so cool because every piece of the watch was relative to a different piece of the watch. So and I remember, it's been almost 20 years and I remember this because it was just so cool. And like, she just made me love math again, which I'm grateful for because, I don't think anyone should be able to take away your love of something. And
Right.
if I hadn't had her as a teacher, like I don't know who I'd be today. I'd be one of those people who hates math. And I like preach all the time that I'm a firm believer that if everybody made it to higher level math, like made it to differential equations, everybody would love math because that's when math starts to make sense. Like you have to get through all of the other stuff, but once you get to higher level math, you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. So I feel like if everybody were taught that stuff by people, and it always has to be by people who actually care about it and not just like
Yeah.
monotone drones. Um,
Yes.
but I feel like everybody would love math if you got to that point. And it's so easy for people to hate math because you don't use a lot of it in your day to day. But I don't know. I like literally see the world differently because I see things and calculations and stuff in the air when things are happening because
I'm not even mad at that. I'm not even mad at it. I will tell you though. So like I had pre-calc my senior year and it was I had I admittedly I had never felt more dumb in my entire life. And I do not blame the teacher at all because and her name was Mrs. Burke. I do not blame her at all for my distaste and my, you know, miseducational whatever the hell's it was. I don't blame her at all. I just blame I'm sitting there and I just don't get it.
yeah.
I'm not seeing it. I'm just you had me and then and then I have no clue what happened. I'm here now. You know what? And I remember approaching her like, hey, listen, I do not, you're one of my favorite teachers, but I don't get this stuff. Is it gonna make you upset if I drop the class? She said, absolutely not. I would rather you drop the class so that way you can save your GPA if you don't get it.
Yeah.
I would rather you do that because I don't want you to stay in this class, not get it, and then fail. So you know what? Hey, all right. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all.
This is my simple explanation of math.
Mhm. Okay.
When you're younger and like you go algebra and geometry and all of that, so they're teaching math is like, this is the answer, and they teach you how to get the answer. And then you get to calculus and they're like, by the way, all of that was bullshit and we actually don't have the answers. So these are all approximations, and like, this is as close as we can get because we actually don't know, because the world is too complicated for us to calculate. Like, that is kind of the gist of calculus. In like a, obviously not mathematical terms, but like in geometry, the distance between 2 points is shortest if you take a straight line. In calculus,
Right.
the distance between 2 points is always the same no matter what route you take. Like, the 2 points don't change, and you can go like this all you want, and those 2 points are still where they are in time. And like, that's like, it just gets super abstract and like
Yes.
almost like woo
Yeah.
woo.
See. Yeah. See. Because no, to me, like to me, math, dude, math is math. Math is that this and this is this. There's you now. You're telling me that it doesn't matter what this is or what this is. This is not the same, or this is the same as this, right? No,
Yeah.
no. Because for all of my life before this, you were telling me this, and so you're lying to me. I can't believe a liar. I can't trust you anymore.
I actually, so okay, not to go on a huge math tangent, but it's one of those
Mhm.
things, like, I feel like math is similar to reading. So like, the way we
Yeah.
teach is like, and at least how a lot of people teach reading, like, you learn letters, you learn words, then you learn how to like put them together with pictures, and then you put them together in sentences, and then you do all of that. Whereas we
Yeah.
understand language by existing, because we speak.
Right.
We learn how to speak before we learn how to read, and so we understand that
Yeah.
kind of naturally, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we teach the hard parts first so that we can understand the things that we already understand. Whereas if we were like, hey, we understand how language is working between two people, this is what it looks like on paper, this is what it looks like if you break it down to sounds, like, but we teach it the opposite. And I feel like math is the same way. Like, we teach like, okay, people understand concrete things more easily than they understand abstract things, so we're going to teach them the
Yes.
concrete things first, and then we're going to tell them that those concrete things aren't actually true, but they're just sort of true. And then that's where like they lose a lot of people, because people are like, whoa, 2 + 2 does not equal 4.
wait a wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's no damn what. No.
Exactly.
No.
Whereas if we were like, hey, we understand, like, it's like the argument of, you can never have a perfect circle because we haven't found the end of pi. So like, every circle that has ever been drawn in human history is just as many straight lines as we could possibly put together to like a naked human eye. And that is what a circle is. But they're not actually round because we haven't found the end of pi. So we can't actually curve things. We can just make a lot of straight lines small enough, because we can just get as close as we can get without it actually being there. And so, yeah.
The fucked up part is like I know, just at least based off this conversation, I know what you're telling me is true. But in the back of my head, I'm like, that's bullshit. You just fucking draw the thing. you just fucking draw the thing and you just keep it pushing. Like, what's the problem here?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
If you could somehow live in the time period and location of a movie you've seen, what would you choose?
Ooh. Mm. If I could somehow live in the time period and location of a movie I've seen, um, damn, I really don't know. Geez, I've never thought about it.
I'll open it
Shit,
up
shot in the dark.
to show as well. You can include a show if it helps.
A show.
Yeah. So it's
Okay. Okay. Now I got one. So there was there was a French cartoon that was dubbed in English back in like the early 2000s. It was called Code Lyoko.
okay.
Um, it took place in France. Took place at like this boarding academy for students, and you know the main characters were fighting this computer virus that had like certain like abilities to like actually come into the physical world and manifest itself into like taking over whole power grids, whole physical objects, inanimate objects. You know what I mean? And it was just to me at the time, it was so cool. It was just fucking it for me. It was peak sci-fi for sure. Like, here are these kids who are going to high school and they're fighting this fucking computer virus, and then they're in the real world 1 minute, and then they go to this old abandoned factory. They step in like these gold coffins, which they called scanners, and like they would scan like a digital imprint of themselves. Excuse me. And they would take those imprints and upload them into like this this meta network of different like environments that closely mocked like real world places, Antarctica, a savanna, the desert, places like that. Um and they would have to go and deactivate these towers somewhere to stop the computer virus from fucking things up in the real world. And they did that like every day for all of the rest of their lives until they found a way to shut down the computer virus. The messed up part is that the computer virus was tied to this other main character in the show. So if they killed the computer virus, they're also killing this character. So now they're spending more time in the show trying to figure out how do we not kill you and be fine. Um and like I said, that was like 2000. I want to say like 2004, 2005. But like it's a fictional universe. Like there really was no era, really was no like special time or anything like that. But I've always wanted to live in France. I've always wanted to, find myself in like a digital landscape and just, see what life is like there. That's just always been cool to me. Um, and so yeah, if I was gonna go anywhere, live anywhere, it would definitely be living in the world of Code Lyoko, like to this day. And it's funny because I started showing my son, he's 5. I started showing him that show, um, and I've lied to him and let him know, and I've led him to believe that at one point in time, all of this stuff actually happened. This
Oh,
is way before you were born. This is way before you were born. All of this happened. I remember it. He's like, what? No. And he's watching the show. He's like, oh my God. Oh my God. There's really a computer. There's really a this. Oh my God. Dad, what happened? I'm just like, hey, I don't know, son. People are crazy.
I've always wanted to write a book called The Lies We Tell Our Children.
Mhm.
Fill in with things like that. I always remember, like, there was a day where my kids were like, why does the moon always follow us? And I just spit out some bullshit. And they asked me a couple years later, and like the older one was just like, that's not true, mom. You can't trick us anymore. Because they usually like they figure it out. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I was having a hard time. I pick things for questions like this. I'd pick things like Outlander or um the oh, I can't think of it right now. The Last Kingdom, things where there's like Vikings and
Okay.
fighting and all those sorts of things because I nerd out over that. But then
Yeah.
I was like, you know where I'd really want to go? Like every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, why can't this be reality? Is Wild Kratts. Have you seen Wild Kratts?
Um, I am not mad at Wild Kratts. So I was actually part of the generation. I was part of the generation when Wild Kratts wasn't Wild Kratts, when it was the Boomafoo. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all.
I just want I just want to be able to touch an animal and take on their characteristics. Like that's all. I just want to be like, boom, yeah. Like okay, so I'm of the
So
generation of Animorphs, like the books where like the
yes.
tigers would turn into. I'm like, and all I wanted my entire life is like, can I please just turn into a tiger or a falcon or whatever? Because
You
human,
know,
like this is rough. Like I just want to bask in
listen,
the sun and eat stuff.
listen, they were on to something when they created the wild thornberries. Okay. They had something going, and then it just stopped. And I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
Now we're here.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
but absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Okay, last question. If if you were a strong swimmer and saw an older lady and a young man drowning and you could only save one, which would it be?
If I was a strong swimmer and I saw an old woman and a young man both drowning,
Yes.
which one would I save?
Yep.
Um, a lot of people would say the old lady. I'm gonna go ahead and say the young man, and the only reason why is because they leave it vague for a reason, right? But let's just say, man, let's just say that that's how that lady wanted to go out.
Yeah.
Let's say she's tired. Let's say, hey, man, like I'm done. I've done everything that I needed to do. Like I'm ready to go. Right. I it He's still got years ahead of him to still do something, to be great, to do whatever. You know what I mean? I and here's a scenario. Just it's kind of crazy, but what if the old lady was trying to kill him?
Yeah.
Was trying to drown him, and then she fell in. You know what I mean? So why save the murderer? I don't know, but no, I would choose the younger man, just because like I said, he's young, he's got more time to live, he's got more opportunity to do things. And old lady, listen, man, I don't know how old you are, but as far as I'm concerned, look, your clock's running out, and who am I to get in the way of the Grim Reaper doing his job? I don't want that kind of smoke. I I I'm good.
Honestly, my answer is very similar. I would save the young man because the way I see it is there's I would say he's got more potential energy.
Yeah,
The the old woman has had an opportunity to live a long life and um the younger person has not had as much opportunity to do something with their life, and so
right.
I go for them because they have more time ahead of them instead of behind them. So before we close this down, the last question I have for you is, if there is
Uh-huh.
one thing the world needs to know, what is it?
The world, the world needs to know patience. The world needs to know patience. We are living in an age where nobody nobody wants to wait for anything anymore. They don't want to wait for opportunity. They don't want to wait for, you know, gratifying things. They don't want to, wait for the great things that they have lined up for them to come to them. Um, a lot of people want, instantaneous recognition and, this overnight success kind of lifestyle. And all of those things are cool if you get them, but then what happens when you do? You know what I mean? A lot of what I do, or rather what I try to do, is I try to sit back and observe and just kind of watch the way the world turns to, you know figure out my next move. You know what I mean? When geez when what was it, when Universal Music uh took their you know took their whole artist catalog off of TikTok, right? Like, for a while there, you couldn't find any of your favorite artists streaming music or anything like that to use as sounds on TikTok, and that, to my knowledge, you still can't. But for an independent artist like me, that is the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity to go and just blow up everyone's For You page with my music. Hey, you can't find your favorite artist on here anymore, but maybe I can be your new favorite artist, and my stuff is, wherever it is that I fucking put it, and no one can take it down. So if you like my stuff, then by all means, come listen to it. Come, support me doing this and whatnot. Other than that, no, the world's moving faster than anybody is allowing themselves to keep up with. And I feel like if we just slow down for a second and really just took time to appreciate what we have already and just waited for, a better opportunity, a better kind of plan to unfold or happen, I feel like we'd all be better off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
What about you?
Oh,
Oh, cool. Hell yeah.
oh, no one's asked me this. No one who's thrown this one back
What?
at me.
No, no, no. You can't just let me get all philosophical and then not have it. You can't have an answer.
I didn't say I didn't have an answer. I haven't answered everything. Just no one's
Hell
thrown
yeah.
it back at me. Um, what does the world need to know? I'm gonna go with love. Everything is love.
Absolutely.
What you do for other people is love. What people do for you is love. And how you love and how you interact with the world is what defines your character. No matter what anybody else says about you. So define the way you want to love, and the world is at your fingertips.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. This was great. This was a fantastic conversation. Thank you
But
so much for having me. You don't understand. Like, this was fun. Like, it got dark. It got dark, but
but then it
but
got light
I
again.
mean, hey, yeah, it did. It really did.
Well, Kaesevyn, thank you
I
very
love it.
much for joining me on the Common Humanity podcast and having this real human
Thank
conversation with
you.
me.